Welcome to the Behind the Girl Boss podcast, where every woman's journey takes center stage. Join us in this safe space as we explore the ins and outs of business, career, mental health, the music industry, and more. Whether you're a go-getter or a dream chaser, we've got stories for you. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok for an exclusive backstage pass. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and entertained. Welcome to the ride. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to the podcast. Hello, I'm very excited for this episode. Also, guys, it's literally October 1st. How did we end up here? How are we in October? How is there literally like 3 months of the year left? Like, that is actually crazy to me. I just can't believe we're here. But anyways, we're gonna jump into today's mantra, which is I can overcome any challenges that come my way. I am resourceful. I am powerful. I saw this and I was like, this needs to be the mantra. Literally nothing else, but I was like, this is it. So I can overcome any challenges that come my way. I am resourceful. I am powerful. Love it. Yeah, I'm very excited for today's episode. On the podcast, we have Sarah. Sarah is a New York City based interior designer, and our conversation was literally so fun. We spoke all about what it's like being a young female business owner. We spoke about what it's like being a young female in the interior design world. We spoke about interior design. We spoke about the rooms she likes to decorate. We spoke about how to plan out rooms. Literally, we got into the deep and nitty gritty of interior design, and I really, really enjoyed it. So without further ado, let's jump right into the episode. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to the podcast. So we have another guest with us and we have Sarah with us. So hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do?
Yes. First, Amanda, thank you so much for having me. I'm an interior designer based in New York City. Sarah Tract Interiors is the name of my firm. And we specialize in residential interior design, builds, and all sorts of fun stuff here in the tri-state area and throughout the country.
I love that. I'm not good at interior design really, but I love like just looking at everyone's pages and like on Pinterest, I have a board full of like interior design inspo. So I'm very excited for this conversation. But before we get into it, I like to do a little hot seat segment to kind of just break the ice and know little fun facts. So the first one is if you could have dinner with anyone alive or dead, who would it be?
Well, alive, I feel like Kris Jenner, just because she has so much to offer and I
Yeah.
would love to pick her brain. But like sentimentally, probably my grandpa, who I never got to meet.
Yeah, I love that. Me too.
Yeah.
My grandfather passed away before I was even born as well. So I feel like it'd just be cool to like see what they're
Yeah.
like instead of just
I want
hearing
to
all
know
the
what like
stories.
parents were like as kids.
Yes, exactly. The next one is what's one book or podcast you recommend to everyone you meet?
Honestly, I'm a very big fan of Call Her Daddy. I think Alex is so talented as like interviewing people and
Yes.
she has great guests. So it's always entertaining to hear what's going on with that.
100% I agree. I love sometimes she has guests on. I'm like, that is so cool. Like you would never think like back in the day, like when podcasts were just starting, that like
Yeah.
these big celebrity names would be on people's podcasts. So it's so cool all the time.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then the last one is what's one thing you can't start your day without?
Starbucks dark roast black coffee.
Yes, love that. Love coffee. I literally don't know how people function without having a coffee in the morning.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm not a person.
Me either. So, as someone who does share their life online and has an Instagram and a social presence, I like to ask people what's one thing that you do for fun for yourself that many people may not know that you actually do?
I really just love being in the car, like when I'm traveling or, just home or whatever it is, or even New York City. I love being in the car, but there's something about just like being in the comfort of your own space alone and being able to drive like in movement and just seeing the world like with no distractions, no phone, nothing. And a good song usually helps. And it's like the only way that I feel like I can like really clear my mind. I even get inspiration. Like I love seeing, driving past cool homes.
Mhm.
So I love that. It's my favorite thing.
Does driving in New York ever stress you? Because I feel like it would stress me.
Yeah. It's like a video game.
Hmm.
Um, it's fun. You're kind of like, oh, I'm in Super Mario Kart, but you get
Yeah.
away with it.
No, I love that. Growing up, did you always envision yourself working in interior design or did you have a different path in mind?
So I've always been obsessed with homes and interior design. I have in my childhood bedroom still cutouts from Arc Digest and Elle Decor that I used to save at like a very young age. So I always knew I would do something with it. I didn't know specifically what. I thought maybe it would be architecture or something else, but I was able to find my niche in interior design and I feel like it just works perfectly for me.
Hmm. And when did you start actually like engaging in interior design and realize like, oh, like I want to make a career out of this specific thing?
Yeah, so I went to college with the intent of then doing something with architecture, interior design, and I learned really early on that architecture is way more technical than it is creative, and my brain is not that, and it's so
Mhm.
impressive for those who are. But I was like, okay, so let's do interior design. And, I kind of dabbled in art history and, learning about different artists and stuff like that, and went into this field of like, let's help source, art for clients' homes and worked with someone in that business. And then once I was entering those spaces again, it was like that familiar feeling of like, I want to do the design of it, not the art of
Mhm.
it. That was kind of when I realized like I need to work for an interior designer and get an internship and all this stuff, and the rest was smooth sailing.
Yeah, and what made you decide that you wanted to start your own interior design firm rather than working for someone else? Like what kind of sparked that?
Yeah, so I worked in the field for like 5 or 6 years under someone else, and I realized that it's such a it's like a never ending cycle. Like you can always create more, you can always learn more. And I wanted to really find a name for myself within
Hmm.
that. And that's when I was like, I can do this and I want to do this. So I gave it a shot and it worked out.
I love that. What were some challenges that you faced when you first started your business?
I think there's something very lonely about being alone in
Yeah.
the industry. So like I was used to a team and now I no longer had people to bounce ideas off of. So when you're starting and like, you're not super busy every day and you're just kind of finding your footing, it was really important to me like to find a very healthy routine with like
Hmm.
working out and taking care of myself. And I still was able to bounce ideas off of other people in the field. But it was hard because it's not the same, but you got the hang of it and you just keep going.
Yeah. And for yourself, I'm not too familiar with like the interior design industry of like the hours, like if there's 9 to 5 or something like that. But as someone who works from themselves, how do you make sure that you kind of shut off at a certain time and like relax and not be thinking or doing work?
So I'm like a real big proponent, encourager of work-life balance. Like to
Hmm.
me, work is 9 to 5 and you hustle and you get as much done as you can. Obviously, eat lunch and whatever, go on a
Yeah.
walk, eat, but it's a commitment. Like, most people in the industry are working 9 to 5. So if you have to send emails late at night, for myself, I think I never stop just because it's my own business. But with
Hmm.
the team who works for me, I always say at 5 o'clock, shut your computer, go outside, do your thing, like check back in tomorrow morning and we'll start again.
Yeah, I love that. So you're known for your ability to blend playful and livable elements into your designs. How do you kind of approach creating spaces that are both aesthetically pleasing but also like functional? Because sometimes I see things and I'm like, what do you even do with that? So how do you kind of like balance that?
So I really think that at the end of the day, like we have to build for families. People are always expanding their families or their kids are growing up and there's different
Hmm.
ages to deal with. So everything to me, like it has to be indestructible in one way or another. And not everything is foolproof, of course, but you want it to be good fabrics and durable fabrics, but you also want to make sure that they're clean fabrics because a lot of those outdoor fabrics, are sprayed with like certain chemicals and then we're
Hmm.
breathing that in and that's scary too. So there's this happy medium of making sure that like it's safe to use and it's functional to use And once you get the materials down, then it's like the playfulness of like going into the actual design of like, let's make this a super fun color. Let's do a really cool coffee table and just making sure that it could withstand the test of time, both materials aspect, but also like aesthetically, like you want it to be timeless. Like,
Yeah.
sure, you want these cool, funky, trendy things, but you want people to be able to grow with what you're designing.
Yeah. And how do you go about making sure that the place that you're designing is like personal to like your clients? Like, how does that work? Do you like sit down with them? Do they fill out forms? How does that process go?
So two clients are the same. Everyone has a different taste of some sort. Usually we'll start with like a Pinterest board
Mhm.
or a shared album to kind of nail down stuff that inspires a client. And then it's up to us to really tie that all together and give them their dream home.
Yeah. And how do you think your personal style has evolved since the beginning of your career in interior design to now?
Oh my gosh, it's forever evolving. It's so silly now. It's almost like
Hmm.
I don't take life as seriously now because I'm just like living in this fun vibe of getting everything done for everyone else that I'm just like, for me, I'm like, I'll take whatever I can get in whatever way I can and we'll make it work. But
Hmm.
I think it will change. I think as I continue to grow, I'll have different opinions of what's cool and what's not. But I try to be timeless, but I love color, and I think there's ways to tie that all together and make it really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And you're also a fan of creating custom furnishes. How does that process work, and how long does it usually take to have like a custom piece made?
Yeah, I love making custom furniture because a lot of the time, you know, there's companies that are from overseas and their lead times are crazy, or you can't get the fabric you want or like the comfort
Yeah.
you want. If you're building a custom sofa or there's a certain style that we're trying to achieve. And also at the end of the day, it's about dimensions. So like in New York City,
Yeah.
bringing stuff in through an elevator can be really tricky. And you have to, build stuff modularly or sometimes build in the apartment. So it's just way more hands-on to like get a custom tailored piece for what someone's needs are. And
Hmm.
ultimately, as long as everyone's maintaining a healthy relationship with like the vendor and the client, everything, like if there's something that goes wrong or if they have a stain or whatever, like we're here to back them up and take care of it and to make sure that it's going to be okay.
Hmm. And how many clients can you like balance at one time? Because I feel like interior design and like creating spaces is such like a hands-on, like lengthy project. So do you like limit how many you can take on at a time?
We definitely space it out. Like if we are growing into like three jobs at once, like are signed, then we'll kind of, have this leeway period. But the reality is all jobs are starting at different points.
Hmm.
And, some people are building, some are renovating, sometimes it's just one room, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
it's nice that not everyone's on the same schedule. Sometimes one week is really busy, but it's because one's a meeting, one's an install, one's a site visit. So everyone's in a different spot within their project. So it's
Mm.
pretty it's easy to balance for the most part. And if we do get overwhelmed, then we take a step back.
Yeah, for sure. Who has been one of your biggest like influences in the interior design world?
So there's so many interior designers who I just admire and love. I think Julie Hillman is so talented, Tamara Magel, Amber Interiors, Kelly Wersler, I mean, everyone, Boss Studio. But I would say where I find my source of inspiration for almost everything is Pinterest. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been using it since I was making cauliflower rice in my kitchen in seventh grade. Like I
Yeah.
was using everything. To me, it's like the original Instagram. So
Hmm.
I love Pinterest and I feel like it's such a good archive of everything. So you can kind of see where you started and where you are now. And that's where I can collectively just see everyone's amazing stuff and inspo.
Yeah, no, I love Pinterest. I have so many boards of like literally the most random things. And like when you were saying cauliflower rice, like the amount of Pinterest boards I made of like food that I want to make that I probably never actually made. It's just like such a fun place. And I feel like it's one of the most like one of the only social media platforms that is not like kind of toxic. And it's just
Yeah,
like a
we're
fun
not
place
like
to
trying to
be.
show off to anyone. It's
Yeah.
literally just for you.
Yeah. No, I agree. Could you share one of the most memorable projects that you've worked on and how it kind of pushed you creatively?
So I think the biggest project for me so far was really like the first one where it was like, okay, like I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna go out on
Mhm.
my own. And it was a build. So it was like I got to do the bathrooms, the kitchen, picking tiles, faucets, like every detailed material in that home, has my name on it. And there's something really rewarding about knowing that like every aspect working with the contractor, the architect, everyone, it comes down to the fact that of course like the clients, it's their home, they live in it, they have a say as well, but that we're stamped on it in a sense. And I love that.
Yeah. And honestly, at such a young age, you've already made a name for yourself in the design world. If anyone's listening to this right now and they're also a young aspiring entrepreneur, what advice would you give to them?
I would say that like age is just a number and don't let it define you because that
Yeah.
was something that people said to me. They were like, she's so young. And it's like, okay, but young is refreshing and young is good
Mhm.
taste. Young is the ability to keep up. So like let's see what she's got, and take that chance because worst case scenario, like you can always go back to what you were doing before. Like I always knew that if it didn't work out, I can apply to jobs and hopefully work for another interior designer again. And I know that I would have a lot to offer and bring to the table. So it's scary, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
In every it's worth it.
And have you ever faced like people not taking you seriously because you're younger or because you are a woman? Because I feel like I don't know if in the interior design world it's like that, but in a lot of like the business world, people don't take women and young women seriously. So have you ever like faced that?
I haven't felt that people don't take me seriously as a woman because I do find that I mean, I think a lot of this industry is female based. Even like my woodworker is a woman. So to me,
Mhm.
like that's so awesome because that's not expected. And she's so talented. And I'm like so impressed. So to me, I'm like, let's all champion each other. As for the age thing, yeah, I think sometimes contractors are like, oh, you're so young. And maybe I don't think it's even an insult, it's just like surprising.
Yeah.
And who cares, you show them that you can keep up and then they're like, oh, it's so cool that she's so young. Like that's so they say to the client, like, you're so lucky that you found this person. Like they're awesome. So it
Yeah.
works out.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you were talking about how you do have people working for you. How many employees do you have, and when did you realize like, okay, like I need to start hiring people to help me out?
We're now a team of four, including myself. So three girls work for me. And when did I start? So last year, I'd say I had already established like a clientele. And I
Hmm.
was like, I have an install on this day and a meeting on this day, and I need someone to go here. And that's when I was like, okay, I need help and I want help. I want to keep growing. I want more hands on deck. And it's just been going from there.
Yeah. And how did you kind of build your client list? How did you go about promoting your services to people?
I find a lot of it is word of mouth. I mean, at the end of the day, Instagram helps because you're
Hmm.
showcasing work. Having a website, of course, is important, but it's word of mouth. It's people being like, my so and so's cousins, friends, sisters having a baby and needs someone's help. Like, are you interested? And it just goes from there.
Hmm. And how do you think living in New York City has influenced your designs and approach to interior spaces? Like you were saying before, like some spaces in New York are also very small and not like these big places, especially if you live like in certain areas. So how has that like influenced you?
Well, I think being in New York City one, you just get so much more done in a day. Like there's so much you could do the second you step outside your door. You can go to a showroom and then you can go, to a meeting and then you can go back to a showroom and do it all in like a 2.5 hour time frame. So there's
Hmm.
so much to see and do, which is so helpful. I would say that it's a challenge. Like a home is so much easier because, there's land and you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about pieces fitting and going up, in an elevator, you have the staircase or whatever it is. It's just, in theory, logistically, New York City tends to be harder, but it's also a lot easier in the sense that once you do an apartment, that's it. There's no,
Yeah.
hey, building a guest house and whatever, like that's it. It's that square box. That's all they have to work with. So once you get it done, you're kind of done, which is nice to check it off your list.
Yeah. And how does pricing kind of work for interior design? Like, is it like a price at the beginning? Is it when everything's done? And how does like one come up with like a price for it?
Honestly, I think so many designers, everyone works differently.
Mhm.
Some are hourly based, some are a flat fee. A lot of them charge commission as well. We charge a flat fee and commission, but I think it's just a conversation you have with who you're interviewing and what works for you guys. I think hourly is tricky just because there's so much time
Yeah.
and business going into it. Like you're really never not working. And I would never want someone to feel like I wouldn't get a delivery because then they have to, be charged for that
Yeah.
item or whatever. But I try to like be really fair and just on top of it. And at the end of the
Hmm.
day, like I said, my clients are the ones living there and I want them to be happy.
Yeah, for sure. And if anyone's listening to this right now and they want to kind of refresh their home, what are some simple design changes or trends that you can like recommend to somebody?
Pillows like this one. I love round pillows. They're really
Hmm.
popular right now. I just think it's like fun and different because you can, mix up the space with them. Fresh flowers make everything
Yes.
better. And coffee table books, accessories. What's good about those little things is that, especially as young people in New York City, like we're probably, most of us are always moving. So being able to take these little accessories with you is so easy, and it's so easy to
Hmm.
change them out. Like right now, something might be on my coffee table, and in 2 months I might switch it with the stuff that's on my nightstand. Like you can do so much. So it's nice to have the versatility.
Hmm. For sure. And what lessons have you learned so far in running your business for a few years?
Trust your gut, know when to say no. You don't have to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to be a go-getter, but if something doesn't feel right, there's a reason for that. And
Hmm.
like being nice is so important.
Yeah.
That pays in the long run, but you also don't want to not be true to yourself. So if something isn't what you think it should be, you have to respect your own boundaries in that sense.
Yeah, and I think especially in that industry, being nice to people is important because you never know when someone will come back into your life. And I think like if someone doesn't give you a reason to be rude to them, like just don't be rude. But I think like a networking, I feel like is very big as well for you.
Or all the time, like especially now it's fall, it's in the city, there's so many events and new collections being released, so it's so fun
Hmm.
to like go and meet other designers, meet other people in the industry. It's important. It really, I think in any industry it definitely
Yeah.
pays to be nice.
Yeah, 100%. So last minute podcast, I asked people on Instagram to ask you questions, and I picked two of my favorite ones. So the first one is, what room is your personal favorite to design?
I think a powder room or a dining room. Can I get both?
Yeah. Why would you say those?
Well, a powder room, I think, is like a jewel box of your home where like that's like your moment to be like super funky. You could do cool wallpaper, a vanity, a mirror. You can have an awesome scent in there, pretty linens. Like it's just this little moment where your guests get to walk in and like, take it all in, but then you get to close the door. And it's like you're not living in that space, you're not
Yeah.
sleeping in that space. So it's really like this little moment, which I love. And then a dining room, I feel like, is the only other place where you could do that on a bigger scale. Like, you can have a funky wallpaper and a special light fixture and unique chairs that, if you can have a dining room and a kitchen, the kitchen are the everyday chairs and the dining room are the special chairs. I just think
Mhm.
there's something really nice about being able to do that special moment.
Yeah. No, love that. And then the last question is, what's your favorite and least favorite design trend?
Favorite design trend is, well, right now I feel like burgundy, like that rich red wine color
Mhm.
is very hot. And red in general is just like so hot. So I would say that's my favorite right now. I'm very leaning into red. My least favorite design trend is, oh, it's very hard. I don't really not like anything. I think you could always make something work, but I don't love when like people purchase a bedroom set, for example. I think it's nice to have different nightstands and dresser or,
Mhm.
living set. Like let's try to mix it up and not have the sofa and the chair be the same fabric. You want interest and
Yeah.
dimension.
Yeah. No, I like that too. I like when like there's like an accent chair, but it's like completely different from everything else in the room. I feel like it just makes it stand out and look pretty.
Yeah, mix it up.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had for you today. So thank you so much again for coming on and sharing all this with us. Before you leave, do you want to shout out any of your socials, where people can find you, where they can potentially work with you if they're in New York?
Yeah, of course. If you want to reach out to us, you can, contact us on our website. It's www.sarahtract.com. And Instagram is definitely where you could find our latest stuff. We're always posting like up to date install pictures and what's going on that day. I mean, I share a lot of personal stuff and interior design stuff on my personal Instagram. I have no shame in showing the world who I am.
Yes.
So say hi, because I'm there, it's me. And that's just Sarah Tract. You can find me there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was so nice.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I really do hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to go follow Sarah on all her socials. Go show her some love, some support. If you want to follow me, please don't be shy. You can follow me either at Behind the Girl Boss or at It's Amanda Wan. You can check out my YouTube channel, It's Amanda Wan. I post every single week on there. And yeah, thank you guys so much again for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon.